Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about the conditionals and loops in Kotlin. So previously we have discussed about the data types, variables and constants in the Kotlin. Now proceeding ahead, the next thing is to discuss about the conditionals, which is common across all languages. But in Kotlin, it is a bit more than the conditions, because in Kotlin, everything is an expression, okay? And we will get to know about this also very soon in this video itself, and you will be surprised to know that this happens, this you may be seeing for the first time in Kotlin itself. Okay, let's see by an example. Suppose there is a let's declare two variables, val x equal to 10 and val y equal to 20. Okay, now I have two variables here. Now I want to execute a code. Okay, I want to say that if x is greater than y, if I have something like that, then just multiply these two, and if it is not true, or maybe x is not x is smaller, then add them. So this is a kind of situation that I have, or this is a problem statement. So in that case, there is a special block known as if else block, which comes into play, and we can use that. So let's see how we can do it. So if we write if x greater than y, and we can just say println, and here we can say condition is true. Okay, this is an if block. Now what an if block means, that if block, inside the if block we can write any number of lines of code. Okay, but these lines of code which is written inside the if block will only be executed if this part x greater than y will be true. If it's not true, it will not enter inside. But there is another part of this block which is known as else, which will only execute if the if block don't execute. So in case the if block don't execute, then the else block will execute. So we can write here, we can say inside else block. So if we just run the code, then we will get inside else block, since x is not greater than y. But if I flip the condition, then run the code, then you can see if block will execute, condition is true. So the main thing is only one of the block will execute, both will not execute at the same time. That is the main case. Also you can have a branched if else blocks. So suppose after if block you can have something like else if x equal to y, and you want to execute something like perfect condition. So this is also how you can write it. Now else if is used when there are lots of conditions that you want to execute. So let's first execute this block. Currently if block is going to execute, let's make 10 also equal to 20. So here you can see that since both are equal, so perfect condition, that is this block will execute. Now you may say that we can write multiple if blocks, then why else if block is required? So the reason behind it is else if block is a part of if else block as a whole. But if you write another if block, if you just write another if block, suppose you write like this, then you just see what happens. Here perfect condition also satisfies, but how it works is, first this if block is checked, and these two if blocks are different. Now for this else block will be a part of this if block. It will not be a part of this if block. The general rule to identify which part this else block belongs to, just see the latest or the last if block you can see, and you can easily identify it. Okay, so this is how it is done. As I said in my problem statement, that if x is less than y, okay, if x is less than y, then I want to add it. So, and if x is greater than y, I want to just multiply it, x and y both, and in case both are equal, I just want to return x. Suppose this is the case. So you can do it. Now normally in any other languages, these if else blocks cannot be used as an expressions. But in Kotlin, this is possible. How can it be possible? So let's first assign this if else whole block to a variable where res result. Let's keep it result only. Now to make it work, what we can do is here we can say if x is less than y, then just add it. Okay, we don't have to write a keyword of return. The last this last thing, last expression automatically infers, the language automatically infers that it means it has to return something. Okay, last statement automatically means that. In case of it, you can just write x, and in case of this, you can say x into y. And when you come out here, you can just print this res. Now there is two. Let me first print the result, then I'll tell you one more thing. So if I execute this, I get condition is true. So if block executes and we get x plus y equal to 30. So we can get the result also from the if else blocks. So this is a very unique thing for a programming language. There may be some programming language which may execute like this, but Kotlin is one of the most popular programming language in which this feature is there. Okay, so that is the case. And if you see the JVM level programming languages, so we have only two important JVM language which is most popular. One is Java and one is Kotlin. Scala is there, but it is not that much popular. So among the JVM also, Kotlin is the first JVM programming language which is widely used in the industry, which has such a great syntax. That's why it is also known as expressive programming language, because everything you can convert into an expression, and everything it is an expression in the Kotlin. So this is about if else. Now the next is the next thing we will discuss is when state or when expression. Now this when expression is same like the switch expression or switch statement from the programming languages like C, C++ or Java. Okay, so if you see the modern syntax of Java, like in Java JDK 21, if you see the switch now is an expression, but earlier it was a statement. So it is very similar to it, this when. So let's see how it can be used. So for this we have another problem statement, and the problem statement is we have to take the user input into a variable and ask the user about their age. So first we'll print a line that please enter your age, and based on the age of the user you have to decide whether the user is a kid or a child, whether he is eligible for vote or whether he is not eligible for vote. Very simple. So you can here write that val age equal to, now to take input in the input from the user, we have a function known as read ln or read line, you can say read line. Now read line, when you take the input using read line, it infers the string from it. Okay, it takes in the string format. So but we want in a int format. Okay, so we want to explicitly tell, we have to tell that we want in the age to be int. So for that you have to write to int. Okay, so this is how we are going to take the user input in Kotlin. Okay, so now we have taken the user input of the age. Now let's first solve this problem using if else that we have seen. So we will say if age is greater than 1 and then less or greater than equal to 1 and less than equal to 10. In this case, just print you are a kid, or we can say if age is greater than equal to 11 and age is less than equal to 17. Okay, So we will say print you are not eligible for or not eligible to vote. And finally we can say else. Let's just copy this line. You are eligible to vote, right? So this is a very simple way how we can solve our problem. So if you run the condition here, so it will ask for your age. So if I say I have the age 18, so it will say you are eligible to vote. And suppose I say here 10, so it says you are a kid. So it's perfectly working. But if you see here, the code doesn't look really very well. Okay, it looked very messed up. And if you have lots of conditions like this that you have to apply, then it definitely don't looks really good. Okay, so how can we improvise on this code and make it more readable and understandable, right? So we can use the when expression. Also this keyword, this is an operator, and so and then basically means that both expressions if are true, then this whole block is evaluated to true. If any one of them is false, then whole condition in the if is evaluated to false, right? There is an alternate way to write this. So as if you hover over it, it will say to convert to range check. So if you write like this, it will show you in this way. So this is also a way to write the condition. So here also you can simply say age in, just write 11 dot dot and 17. So this means that age is between 11 and 17, where 17 is included. Suppose you want to exclude the 17, then what you can do is dot dot and then less than equal to. So 17 is excluded. So this is how you can use a range here. We will see range as we discuss about the loops, but yeah, this is how we can write the range. Now let's convert this whole if else thing to the when expression. Okay, so we will say when age, and inside it we will say, we can say age we have already defined, we can just write in operator and simply we can say 1 to 10. Now here we can write the print statement also, but suppose we want to return the values, so you can just mention the string also. So you can say you are a kid. This is as simple to write. In the second line you can write 11 to 17, and you can say just copy paste this line of code, and here you can say else we can write like this. Perfect. So basically when you write the things like this, when you're not printing and you're just mentioning the strings, it means that you are returning these string values. So whichever condition is true, it will return from here, and you can extract it to a variable. So we'll declare a variable name as val, and we will say a result. Okay, and simply we will print the result. So if I write suppose 17, it says you are not eligible to vote. The first one is from the if else block. The second is in the second one, this whole string has been returned and been the value is captured here in the res variable, right? And we have printed this one. So it's as simple as this. So this is how you have seen that how if else block is there, how when expression is there, and how we take the user input. Now let's move on to the loops part. So in the Kotlin there are various types of loops. One is while loop, do while loop, and for loops. So let's discuss each one of them. So while loop basically means that until a condition is true, just execute the lines of code inside the while block. That's it, is as simple as that. So suppose I say where counter equal to 0, and then I have to just say while counter less than 10, I just increase the counter and I print something like counter. Now this, when you write something like this, it is called as variable interpolation. So inside the block, inside the string, you can write like this. So I can say that counter value is, and I can say $counter. Okay, so this is a very common thing to write. You can also put this in braces, but for a single variable, it is, these braces are not required, or these curly braces basically, right? So this is a very simple while loop that you can write. And if I execute the loops, okay, so you can see we got from 1 to 10 while loop, right? There is another one. Suppose I make the counter again to 0, and another variation of the while loop is there, which is known as do while loop. So in do while loop, the syntax is like do and while. So what it is means that initially the conditions will not be checked. Okay, first we will enter the do block and will execute something. So I say that I execute something like print ln, and I execute the value of counter. Value of counter. Counter is this. In the while loop, we can write first the condition. So I say less than 5. So this statement will be printed at least once, because when we first enter the do block, there is no condition check. So this statement will be printed to console, and then the condition inside this while will be checked. If the condition is true, then again the execution control will go to do block, and then only the statement will execute. Okay, so we can increase the counter by plus plus. The reason for, and once if we are using while loop, one important thing is always ensure that your variable is increasing or decreasing according to what your condition you have put forward. Okay, otherwise it will be in a infinite loop, and your system may crash. Okay, so that may not be good for your PC or laptop that you are using. So ensure that you are increasing the counter or decreasing the counter. Okay, it is up to you what the conditions is. So these are the two examples of it. If I execute the loops now, then you will see that we have got 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 perfectly fine. Even if I say something like counter less than 1, so you see that the value of counter is 0, and if I put counter equal to suppose 2, I put, then also the once the statement will get printed. That is the main crux of do while loop. So it says value of counter is 2. So first the statement gets printed, the value of counter is 2, then it get incremented to, so counter becomes 3. Now 3 less than 1 is false, so it exits the do while loop, right? And program finishes. Now the next thing is for loop. So the for loop here we are going to discuss is based on the range. Now traditionally you may have seen, if you have studied Java or C or C++, you have seen something like int I equal to 0, I less than suppose 5, and I plus plus. Okay, something like this. If you are completely new to programming, then you can ignore this. You'll understand it later when you learn more programming languages. But initially, if you're coming from Java, C++ background, then this is a kind of syntax for loop. But in Kotlin, there's a very simplified syntax. You don't have to explicitly declare any variable. You can just write a variable like I, and it is done. It is declared, and its scope is only within this for loop only, right? Then you have to write in 1 to 10, suppose. So this range we have already discussed, and you can just say print I. Okay, now it will auto increment here in the for loop, and this is the main important thing of the for loop, that it auto increments. So if I execute this, let me make it comment out so that for loop is executed. So if I do this, then you can see 1 to 10 is printed out, the value of I. Or something like this also you can do. You can declare any variable like m in suppose 2 dot dot less than 12, suppose. Now in this case, 12 is not inclusive. Here 10 is inclusive because only if we just put two dots, then this last, the end range, the range last value is included. But if we put greater less than something, then it is not included. So this you need to remember. Okay, and we just write m here. Let me comment it out, and if I execute now, then it executes from 2 3 4 5 till 11. 12 is not executed, right? So this is how the basics of loops and conditionals in Kotlin. I hope you are enjoying this series and you are getting to understand some syntax in a very great way. And if you are coming from a background like Java, so you may be enjoying also that okay, this language simplifies a lot of things and makes it more easier to write code, whether it's for if else or for when expression or for the loops. So that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.